The observation deck of the UEF horizon offered the best view in the solar system. Admiral William Grant stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching as Jupiter's great red spot churned in the distance. At 73 years old, he had spent most of his life in space, traveling between human colonies and alien worlds. His weathered face and silver hair gave him the look of a wise grandfather, rather than the highest-ranking officer in the United Earth Federation fleet. Beside him stood Captain Olivia Rodriguez, newly appointed to command the UEF Discovery. She was tall with dark hair cut practical and short, her uniform crisp and perfect. Unlike Grant, she had never seen conflict. No one had for 3,000 years. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Grant said, nodding toward Jupiter. "Yes, sir," Rodriguez replied. "Hard to believe that our ancestors once thought they would never leave Earth." Grant smiled. "Humans have always been explorers. Once we stopped fighting each other, the stars were the natural next step." A comfortable silence fell between them as they watched the massive gas giant and its moons. Somewhere out there, survey teams were mapping Europa's subsurface oceans. Research stations orbited each of Jupiter's major moons. Trade vessels moved, between them carrying supplies and people. Peace had allowed humanity to flourish across the solar system and beyond. The door behind them slid open. Commander Frank Walsh, the Horizon's executive officer, entered the observation deck. His normally calm face looked troubled. "Sir, we're receiving strange readings from the long-range sensors. Fleet Command is requesting your presence on the bridge." Grant nodded, giving Jupiter one last look before following Walsh. Rodriguez came, along, curious about what could be causing such concern in peaceful times. On the bridge, officers moved with purpose between stations. The main view screen showed a star map with an unusual formation highlighted in red at the edge of the solar system. "What am I looking at?" Grant asked. Communications Officer Peter Jones turned from his station. "Sir, approximately 1 hour ago, our outpost near Pluto detected multiple objects entering the solar system. They're moving at high speed and not responding to hails." Rodriguez frowned. "Could it be a sensor malfunction?" "No, Captain," Jones said. 3 different outposts have confirmed the readings. Whatever these objects are, they're real and they're heading straight for us." Grant's expression remained neutral. "Numbers?" "At least 500 vessels, sir." "Possibly more." The bridge fell silent. The United Earth Federation had fewer than 200 ships in total, and most of those were science vessels or light explorers. Combat ships had been decommissioned centuries ago. "Have we notified the Galactic Concordat?" Grant asked. "Yes, sir. The Vexari ambassador is requesting an emergency meeting." Grant nodded. "Tell them I'll be there shortly, and contact UEF President Howard. He needs to know about this immediately." As the communications officer carried out his orders, Grant turned to the view screen again. The red dots moved steadily closer to the inner solar system. Could it be a first contact situation? Rodriguez asked quietly. "If it is," Grant replied, "they're not making a good first impression." 3 hours later, the emergency council meeting of the Galactic Concordat had assembled on the horizon. Representatives from 12 alien species sat around the large conference table, their faces showing various signs of concern. Ambassador Girla of the Vexari, a tall blue-skinned being with 4 arms, spoke first. "Admiral Grant, what do we know about these vessels?" Grant activated a holographic display in the center of the table. "They entered our solar system approximately 4 hours ago. They've maintained radio silence despite our attempts to communicate. Their current trajectory will bring them to Saturn's orbit within 6 hours. Have passive scans revealed anything about their composition or origins?" asked Professor Nurl, the Nubari scientist. His large eyes blinked rapidly as he studied the display. "The vessels appear to be crystalline in structure," Grant said, "unlike anything we've seen before. They're heavily armored, and our scans suggest they're carrying significant energy sources." The Zentari philosopher, Omo, leaned forward. His species resembled large, upright turtles with wrinkled faces full of wisdom. "In 3,000 years of peace, we have encountered many civilizations. All have eventually joined our concordat. Perhaps these newcomers simply have different customs regarding first contact." Grant wished he could share Omo's optimism. Something about this situation felt wrong. His gut instinct, honed by years of experience, told him they were not dealing with potential friends. As if to confirm his fears, the communications officer burst into the room. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the unknown fleet." Grant nodded. "Put it through." The holographic display changed to show a being unlike any they had seen before. It was insectoid in appearance, with a hard exoskeleton and multiple eyes. When it spoke, its mandibles clicked together in a way that made several council members flinch. "Inhabitants of this system," the creature said, its voice translated through the ship's computers. "We are the Kirvak. For too long, your alliance has spread its weakness across the galaxy. Your peace ends, prepare for conquest." The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving the room in stunned silence. Ambassador Girla was the first to recover. "Surely they cannot be serious. There has been no war in the Concordat for thousands of years. We must attempt peaceful negotiation." "I agree," said Omo. "Violence is the refuge of those who do not understand themselves." Grant remained silent, studying the holographic display as it returned to showing the approaching fleet. Something stirred in his memory. Old lessons from history books, tactics and strategies that had not been needed for millennia. "Admiral," Rodriguez asked, noticing his distant expression, "what should we do?" Before Grant could answer, another alarm sounded. The communications officer's voice came over the speaker. "Sir, the research station Galileo near Saturn has gone dark. All communication has ceased," the Vexari ambassador gasped. There were 5,000 beings on that station. Grant's face hardened. He pressed a button on the conference table. "This is Admiral Grant. All civilian vessels are to evacuate the outer planets immediately. Head for Earth or Mars. This is not a drill." He turned to the stunned council members. "It appears the Kirvak are not interested in diplomatic solutions. I suggest you all contact your governments. The peace we've enjoyed for 3,000 years has just ended." As the council erupted into panicked discussion, Grant moved to the window. He looked out at the stars, his reflection showing not fear, but something else entirely. The ghost of a smile played at the corners of his mouth. The Kirvak had made a grave mistake. Humanity had chosen peace, but choice implied alternatives. And deep beneath the lunar surface, locked away in archives that had not been opened for millennia, those alternatives still existed. Humanity had not forgotten how to fight. They had simply chosen not to, until now. Ambassador Susan Miller watched from the bridge of her ship, the UEF Envoy, as the Kirvak fleet moved through the wreckage of the Galileo research station. Her hands trembled slightly, but her voice remained steady as she recorded what might be her final message. "This is Ambassador Miller of the United Earth Federation. We come in peace and wish to open dialogue with the Kirvak leadership. There is no need for further bloodshed." The response came almost immediately. A beam of bright green energy shot from the nearest Kirvak vessel, cutting through the envoy's hull like paper. Emergency alarms blared as the ship's systems began to fail. "Evacuate," Miller shouted to her crew. "Get to the escape pods." But it was too late. A second beam hit the engine core, and the envoy exploded in a brief, bright flash. News of the ambassador's death spread quickly through the remaining human outposts. Panic followed. The outer colonies had no defenses. They were research stations, mining operations, and settlements built during an age of peace. On Titan, Dr. Elizabeth Carter watched the evacuation unfold. Thousands of civilians rushed aboard, the few transport ships available. They carried only what they could hold in their arms: photos, keepsakes, children. "Dr. Carter, we need to go," her assistant said, pulling at her arm. "The last transport leaves in 20 minutes. Carter shook her head. "You go ahead, Kyle. I have something to take care of first." When her assistant had gone, Carter entered her private office and placed her palm on a hidden scanner. A section of the wall slid open, revealing a narrow elevator. She stepped inside and the doors closed behind her. The elevator descended deep below Titan's surface, finally stopping at a massive vault door. Carter entered a long code into the keypad, then pressed her eye to a scanner. The heavy door swung open with a hiss. Inside was not a research lab but a massive underground hangar. Row upon row of sleek, angular ships sat in perfect formation. They were not the rounded, peaceful explorers of the UEF fleet. These were warships, their designs refined over thousands of years of theoretical military research. Carter smiled grimly. It was time to wake the sleeping giant. Back on the UEF horizon, Admiral Grant stood before the Galactic Concordat Council. The alien representatives argued among themselves, their voices rising in fear and confusion. "We must negotiate," insisted Ambassador Girla of the Vexari. "Perhaps if we offer resources, territory." "The Kirvak have shown no interest in negotiation," Grant said quietly. His calm cut through the noise, silencing the room. "They destroyed Ambassador Miller's ship without warning. They have attacked 6 more outposts since then. They want conquest, not conversation." "Then we are doomed," said Professor Nurl of the Nubari. "The Concordat has no military. We have maintained peace for 3 millennia." "The Concordat has no military?" Grant agreed. "But humanity does." The aliens stared at him in confusion. "Impossible," said Omo of the Zentari. "We have observed your species for thousands of years. You have dismantled your weapons. Your warships were converted to exploration vessels." Grant nodded. "What you saw is what we wanted you to see. Peace was always our goal, but humans are not naive. We remember our history." He activated the room's holographic display, showing a map of the solar system. "Right now, facilities on Earth, Mars, Luna, and Titan are being activated. Ships that have not been seen for 3,000 years are being prepared for battle." The council members looked at each other in shock. "You deceived us," Girla said, her 4 hands trembling. "All this time?" "We chose peace," Grant corrected. "That choice was genuine, but we also chose to be prepared should peace ever fail." He turned to Captain Rodriguez. "Contact Fleet Command. Initiate Protocol Lazarus." Rodriguez nodded and left the room quickly. "What is Protocol Lazarus?" asked Omo. Grant's face was grim. "In ancient human mythology, Lazarus was a man who returned from death. Our military capability has been dormant, not dead, now it rises again." On Luna, Earth's moon, Commander Richard Brown stood in a control room that had not seen use in centuries. His authorization code had opened sealed doors, activated dormant systems, and brought light to the huge underground complex. "Status report," he ordered. Lieutenant Diane Foster looked up from her console. "All systems are coming online, sir. The archive ships are at 90% readiness. Weapon systems are being calibrated now." Brown nodded. "And the personnel?" "The Secret Service families are reporting in from across the system. 3rd and 4th generation officers trained in the old ways, as their parents and grandparents did before them. They've lived among the general population, maintaining normal lives while keeping their skills sharp." Brown walked to a large window overlooking the underground hangar. Hundreds of ships, far more advanced than anything the UEF publicly displayed, were being prepared for launch. Mechanics and pilots moved with purpose, their training overcoming any rust from disuse. "Begin launch sequence for the first wave," Brown ordered. "Priority targets are the Kirvak vessels approaching Mars." Meanwhile, the Kirvak fleet continued its methodical advance through the solar system. Supreme War Master Drak Tha watched from his command ship as another human outpost was reduced to floating debris. "These creatures offer no resistance," he said to his second-in-command. "Why did our scouts report them as a threat?" "They were once warrior beings," replied Subcommander Vectol. "But they have grown soft with peace. Their ships have no weapons. Their stations have no shields." Drak Tha clicked his mandibles into amusement. "Our ancestors feared these humans. They spoke of their fierce fighting spirit, their rapid technological advancement. But look at them now, fleeing like prey before the hunter." Vectol studied the tactical display. "The bulk of their population appears to be concentrated on the 3rd and 4th planets. We should strike there next." "Agreed. Set course for the Ya, Red Planet. We will make an example of it before moving to their homeworld." As the Kirvak fleet changed course for Mars, they remained unaware of the activity taking place beneath the surfaces of Luna and Titan. They did not detect the small, stealthy vessels that shadowed their movements, gathering intelligence on their weapons and defenses. And they certainly did not know about the encrypted message that Admiral Grant had sent to the President of the United Earth Federation. The Lazarus Protocol is active. The sleeping giant is awake. Operation First Strike will commence in 6 hours. In the relative safety of Earth orbit, President Nathan Howard read Grant's message. He closed his eyes briefly, feeling the weight of what was to come. For 3,000 years, humanity had lived in peace. Now they would show the galaxy why, even after all that time, no one should ever mistake their peaceful nature for weakness. Send the response, Howard told his communications officer. 2 words only, weapons free. The Kirvak fleet approached Mars with confidence. Their previous victories had been easy, research stations and civilian outposts offering no meaningful resistance. Supreme War Master Draktha stood on the bridge of his massive command ship, his chitinous exoskeleton gleaming under the harsh lights, his multiple eyes focused on the red planet growing larger on the view screen. Scans show 17 human settlements on the surface, reported Vectol. Most are concentrated near the northern ice cap. There are also 3 orbital stations and approximately 40 vessels in orbit. Weapons? Draktha asked. Minimal. The orbital stations appear to have point defense systems only. The ships match known human explorer and transport designs. No military vessels detected. Draktha made a clicking sound that passed for laughter among his kind. These humans truly have forgotten how to fight. Begin the attack. Target the largest settlement first. 500 Kirvak ships moved into formation, around Mars. Their crystalline hulls reflected the sunlight, creating a beautiful but deadly display. Energy weapons powered up, targeting the domed city of New Armstrong near the Martian North Pole. In the hidden command center beneath the Martian surface, General Kate Martinez watched the enemy fleets approach on a 3-dimensional tactical display. Unlike the public facilities above, this military bunker featured technology far beyond what the Kirvak had seen so far. The bunker had existed for thousands of years, its presence known only to a select few. They're taking the bait, Martinez said. All units report ready? Colonel Jack Harris nodded. Luna Fleet is in position behind Phobos. Titan Squadron is approaching from below the elliptic. Earth Defense Force is standing by. All civilian transports have been fitted with their special packages. Martinez smiled grimly. Let them fire first. I want no doubt about who started this. Above, the Kirvak fleet launched its first attack. Green energy beams lanced down toward New Armstrong. The city's hidden shield system activated, instantly absorbing the attack. The aliens paused, confused by the unexpected defense. Now, ordered Martinez. Across the solar system, humanity's hidden military sprang into action. From behind Mars's smaller moon, Phobos, emerged a fleet of warships unlike anything seen in the public sphere. Where UEF explorers were rounded and welcoming in design, these vessels were angular and predatory. Their hulls were midnight black, absorbing rather than reflecting light, making them nearly invisible against the backdrop of space. The civilian transports in Mars orbit suddenly shed their outer hulls, revealing military vessels underneath. What had appeared to be cargo containers transformed into weapon platforms. Research stations extended previously hidden gun turrets, and from the surface of Mars itself, missile silos that had been disguised as science facilities opened fire. On the bridge of his command ship, Draktha watched in shock as his tactical display lit up with new contacts. What is happening? Where did these vessels come from? Vectol frantically worked his console. Unknown, War Master. They were not there. Moments ago! A human voice cut through their communication system. Attention, Kirvak Fleet. This is Admiral William Grant of the United Earth Federation. You have attacked peaceful outposts and murdered innocent civilians. You have declared war on humanity. And now, you will learn what that really means. The black ships from Luna opened fire first. Their weapons were not the simple energy beams the Kirvak used, but something far more sophisticated. Instead of trying to penetrate the crystalline hulls directly, the human weapons created localized gravity distortions that shattered the alien vessels from within. 20 Kirvak ships were destroyed in the first volley. "Return fire," screamed Draktha. "All ships concentrate on the vessels behind Phobos." The Kirvak fleet turned to face this new threat, only to be hit from behind by the Titan squadron. These smaller, faster ships launched what appeared to be simple projectiles. When they hit the Kirvak vessels, they didn't explode. They attached and began drilling through the hulls, releasing swarms of microscopic robots that invaded the ship's systems. More Kirvak ships began to drift, their systems compromised. "This is impossible," Vectol said, his mandibles trembling. "The humans have no military. Our intelligence was clear." Draktha smashed a clawed fist against his command console. "The intelligence was wrong. These are not the simple explorers we were led to believe." On the bridge of the UEF Horizon, now revealed as a state-of-the-art command vessel, Admiral Grant watched the battle unfold with Captain Rodriguez at his side. "I don't understand," Rodriguez said. "Where did these ships come from? How have we kept this secret for 3,000 years?" Grant's eyes never left the tactical display. After the Great Unification War, humanity made a choice. Public military forces were dismantled, but a select group was chosen to maintain our defenses in secret. The Protector Program, we called it. Generations of soldiers, sailors, and pilots have trained in hidden facilities, developing weapons and tactics while the rest of humanity enjoyed peace. But why keep it secret from our own people? From the Concordat? Because true peace required trust, and trust is hard to build when you're obviously preparing for war. So we built two societies. The peaceful face we showed the galaxy, and the vigilant guardians working in the shadows. The battle continued to rage around Mars. The Kirvak fleet, despite its size advantage, was being systematically taken apart by human forces that seemed to know exactly how to counter their weapons and tactics. In the Martian Command Center, General Martinez received a surprising report. "General, we're detecting unusual readings from the largest Kirvak vessel. It appears they're preparing to use some kind of superweapon." Martinez frowned. "Target that ship immediately, all available units." Before her forces could respond, the massive Kirvak command ship began to glow with energy. A huge beam fired toward Mars, far more powerful than anything they had used before. For a moment, it seemed the planet itself might be in danger. Then suddenly the beam split into thousands of smaller streams, diverted by an invisible barrier around Mars. "The planetary shield is holding," reported Colonel Harris. "No damage to the surface." Martinez allowed herself a small smile. "Send in Strike Team Alpha. I think it's time we introduced ourselves properly to Supreme War Master Draktha." On his command ship, Draktha stared in disbelief as his ultimate weapon failed to even scratch the planet's surface. Around him, his mighty fleet was being systematically destroyed or disabled. Over half his forces were already lost, and the humans showed no signs of slowing down. "War Master," Vectol said, his voice shaking. "We are receiving transmission requests from the human vessels. They are offering terms of surrender." Draktha's mandibles clicked in fury. "The Kirvak do not surrender. We will fight to the last ship, the last warrior. Prepare my personal guard. We will board their command vessel and kill their admiral ourselves." As he issued this order, the ship shuddered violently. Warning alarms blared throughout the vessel. "What, now?" demanded Draktha. Vectol looked up from his console, his alien features showing clear fear. "War Master, humans have boarded our ship." Draktha rushed through the corridors of his command ship, surrounded by his personal guard. Alarms blared as reports of human boarding parties came from all directions. The mighty Kirvak warriors, who had conquered a dozen species before encountering humans, were now in retreat on their own vessel. "How did they get past our shields?" Draktha demanded. "Unknown, War Master," replied one of his guards. "They appeared inside our ship without warning. They reached the ship's central chamber, a massive room with crystalline walls that normally served as Draktha's throne room. The War Master ordered the heavy doors sealed and turned to face his remaining officers. "Send a message to the homeworld," he ordered. "Inform the High Command that we require reinforcements. The humans have hidden military capabilities far beyond our intelligence reports." Before any of his officers could comply, A section of the wall seemed to shimmer and then fade away. Through the opening stepped 6 humans in sleek black armor. Unlike the bulky environment suits Drakthah had seen in human historical records, these appeared to be a second skin, moving fluidly with their wearers. Leading them was a woman with short gray hair and hard eyes. The name on her armor read, Martinez. "Supreme, War Master Drakthah," she said, her voice calm. "I am General Kate Martinez of the United Earth Federation Protector Corps. You are hereby placed under arrest for war crimes against civilian populations." The Kirvak guards raised their weapons, but Martinez made a small gesture with her hand. Instantly, the weapons grew too hot to hold, and the Kirvak dropped them with pained clicks of their mandibles. Drakthah stared at the human general. "What trickery is this? How did you board my vessel? How do you defeat our weapons so easily?" Martinez smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "For 3,000 years we've studied every potential threat to humanity. We've planned for every possible scenario. While we publicly dismantled our military, we secretly built something far more powerful." She stepped closer to the alien commander. "Your species has been on our watch list for centuries. We intercepted your scout ships decades ago. We allowed them to return with incomplete information. We wanted to see what you would do." Drakthah's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of distress in his species. "Impossible. Our scouts reported your weakness, your lack of defenses. They reported exactly what we wanted them to see." Martinez gestured to her soldiers, who moved to secure the Kirvak officers. "Your entire assault has been a test, and you failed." Outside, the battle for Mars was ending quickly. The Kirvak fleet, leaderless and outmatched, was being systematically disabled by human forces. Rather than destroying the alien vessels, the human ships were using precision strikes to cripple engines and weapon systems. On the UEF horizon, Admiral Grant received regular updates on the battle's progress. Beside him stood representatives from the Galactic Concordat, watching in stunned silence as humanity revealed its true military capability. "I still do not understand," said Ambassador Zhirla of the Vexari. "How could you maintain such forces in secret? The resources required, the personnel. It should have been impossible to hide." Grant turned to the blue-skinned ambassador. "Not impossible, just difficult. The Protector program operated on a need-to-know basis. Less than 1% of our population was directly involved. We used automated facilities, hidden bases, and misdirection." "But why?" asked Omo of the Zentari. "If you had these capabilities, why maintain the charade of total peace?" "Because we genuinely wanted peace," Grant replied. "Humanity spent thousands of years fighting itself before we learned better. When we united and met other species, we hoped that era of violence was behind us. But we remembered our history too well to leave ourselves defenseless." Professor Nurl of the Nubari studied the tactical display, his large eyes blinking rapidly. "Your technology appears far beyond even what the Kirvak possess. How is this possible?" Grant smiled slightly. "When you don't spend resources on actual warfare, you can invest a great deal in research and development. Our weapons have been continuously improved for 3 millennia without ever being used." A communication officer approached with a message. "Sir, General Martinez reports that Supreme War Master Drakthah has been secured. The Kirvak command ship is under our control." Grant nodded. "Inform the general that I'll speak with the prisoner shortly." He turned back to the alien representatives. "Now we determine what to do with an aggressive species that attacked without provocation." On the Kirvak command ship, Drakthah sat in a containment field, watching as human soldiers efficiently secured his vessel. His pride was wounded more deeply than his body. The mighty Kirvak, feared across their region of space, had been defeated not through superior numbers, but through superior strategy and preparation. General Martinez entered the room where he was being held. She carried a small device that she placed on the floor between them. "This will allow us to communicate more efficiently," she explained. "The translation software is more advanced than what you've seen so far." Drakthah clicked his mandibles. "You wish to question me? I will tell you nothing." "Actually," Martinez said, I'm here to listen. I want to understand why you attacked. What drove the Kirvak to end 3,000 years of peace in this sector? The alien commander was silent for a moment, then spoke. The Kirvak are warriors. We saw your piece's weakness. Our scouts reported no defenses, no military, easy conquest. Martinez nodded. A common mistake. You saw what you expected to see, a civilization that had grown soft with peace. But you were preparing for war the entire time, Drakthah said bitterly. No, Martinez corrected. We were preparing to defend peace. There's a difference. She walked around the alien, studying him. The Kirvak could have joined the Galactic Concordat. You could have shared in trade, cultural exchange, scientific advancement. Instead, you chose violence. Violence is the natural state of all beings, Drakthah insisted. Your peace is an illusion, Martinez smiled. Is it? For 3,000 years, a dozen different species have lived together without war. We've explored the stars, built new worlds, advanced knowledge. All while you Kirvak fought among yourselves and preyed on weaker neighbors. She leaned closer to the containment field. Tell me honestly, Supreme War Master, which path looks more successful today? Back at the Mars Command Center, President Nathan Howard had arrived from Earth to oversee the aftermath of the battle. Reports from across the solar system confirmed what they already knew. The human victory was complete. Not a single Kirvak vessel had escaped. Casualties? Howard asked. Colonel Jack Harris checked his data pad. Minimal, sir. 27 Protector. Personnel confirmed killed in action. 42 wounded. No civilian casualties after the initial attacks on the outer colonies. Howard nodded solemnly. Each loss is still too many. Send my personal condolences to the families. Yes, sir. Harris hesitated, then asked, What happens now, sir? The galaxy knows our secret. 3,000 years of peace. And now we show them why we kept these weapons, Howard said firmly. Not for conquest, not for power, but to protect what matters. Peace, cooperation, the future we've built together. He looked out at the tactical display showing the defeated Kirvak fleet. The Concordat will have questions. They'll wonder if they can still trust us. Our job now is to prove that they can, that this strength was never meant to threaten them, only to defend them. Harris nodded. And the Kirvak, sir? Howard's expression hardened. They attacked without provocation. They killed innocent civilians. But we're not going to respond in kind. That's not who we are, not who we've worked 3,000 years to become. He tapped a command into the console, bringing up an image of the Kirvak homeworld. We're going to show them a better way. 1 month after the Battle of Mars, representatives from across the galaxy gathered on Earth. The Grand Council chamber in New Geneva had been expanded to accommodate delegates from not only the 12 species of the Galactic Concordat, but also a new delegation, 5 Kirvak, including the former Supreme War Master Drakthah. The chamber fell silent as President Nathan Howard took the central platform. Unlike the formal robes worn by many alien representatives, the human leader wore a simple gray suit. At 70 years old, his face showed the lines of wisdom rather than aggression. Friends, allies, and visitors, Howard began. We gathered today to address recent events and chart a path forward. 1 month ago, the peace our civilizations have enjoyed for 3,000 years was broken. Lives were lost, trust was damaged, and secrets were revealed. His gaze swept the room, pausing briefly on the Kirvak delegation. Drakthah sat stiffly in his seat, mandibles held tightly together. Some of you have questioned whether humanity can still be trusted, Howard continued. You wonder if our hidden military capabilities make us a threat to the Concordat. These are fair concerns. For 3 millennia, we presented ourselves as a people who had moved beyond warfare, while secretly maintaining the ability to wage it. Ambassador Girla of the Vexari stood, her 4 blue arms moving in the formal pattern that indicated a desire to speak. President Howard, the Vexari people have always valued honesty above all else. How can we trust a species that maintained such a significant deception for thousands of years? Howard nodded. A valid question, Ambassador. But let me ask this in return. Would true honesty have served peace? If humanity had openly maintained military forces while preaching peaceful cooperation, would that not have created an arms race? Would other species not have felt compelled to build their own weapons just in case? Professor Nurl of the Nubari raised a slender hand. Your logic is sound, but incomplete. By maintaining secret forces, you positioned humanity as the dominant power without allowing others the same opportunity. We did, Howard acknowledged, and perhaps that was wrong. But consider the alternative. A galaxy where every species maintains military readiness, where resources that could advance medicine, exploration, and quality of life are instead directed toward weapons development. Is that the future we want, Omo? Of the Zentari spoke next, his ancient voice carrying surprising strength. What matters now is not the past but the future. What does humanity intend to do with this power it has revealed? Howard smiled. An excellent question. Admiral Grant? Admiral William Grant stepped onto the platform. Unlike at their previous meeting, he now wore his full military uniform, complete with the insignia of the Protector Corps, a shield surrounding a handshake. For 3,000 years, Grant said, the Protector program has operated with one directive: defend humanity and its allies from external threats, not conquest, not control. Defense. That mission has not changed. He activated a holographic display in the center of the chamber. It showed the Kirvak homeworld. We have known about the Kirvak civilization for over 2 centuries. Our long-range probes detected their development and monitored their expansion. When they began conquering neighboring systems, we increased our vigilance. Draktha shifted uncomfortably as murmurs spread through the chamber. We could have struck preemptively, Grant continued. Our analysis suggested the Kirvak would eventually target the Concordat. But that is not who we are. We prepared, we watched, and we waited, hoping that peaceful contact might still be possible. He turned to face the Kirvak delegation directly. Even now, with the blood of our people on your hands, we choose a different path than revenge. The holographic display changed to show a new image. Kirvak ships, but clearly of human design, docked at a space station orbiting the Kirvak homeworld. We have established a presence in Kirvak space, Grant explained. Not as conquerors, but as teachers. We offered the Kirvak leadership a choice: face complete military defeat or join us in building something better. Draktha stood suddenly. The guards tensed, but President Howard waved them back. I wish to speak, the former War Master said. His translated voice sounded different now, less harsh, more measured. Howard nodded. Please do. Draktha faced the assembled delegates. The Kirvak have known only war for generations. We believed it was the natural state of all intelligent species. We saw the Concordat's peace as weakness to be exploited. He paused, mandibles clicking softly. We were wrong. The humans did not destroy our civilization when they could have. They did not take revenge for our attacks. Instead, they showed us another way to exist. And do all Kirvak accept this new path? Asked Ambassador Zhirla skeptically. No, Draktha admitted. Many resist. Change does not come easily to any species. But for the first time, we have seen strength expressed not through domination but through restraint. It is compelling. President Howard returned to the center of the platform. The revelation of humanity's military capability has changed the balance of the Concordat. We understand that. Today I propose a new way forward. The holographic display changed again, showing the insignia of the Protector Corps. We offer to extend the Protector program to all Concordat species, not as a human military force, but as a combined defensive alliance. Each member world would contribute personnel to train and serve together. The knowledge we've developed over 3,000 years would be shared openly. Murmurs filled the chamber as the delegates discussed this proposal among themselves. Furthermore, Howard continued when the noise had lessened. We propose complete transparency going forward. All Protector facilities would be open to inspection by Concordat representatives. All new developments would be shared. No more secrets. Ambassador, Shirla spoke again. And if we decline this offer? If some species prefer to develop their own defenses? That is your right, Howard said simply. We ask only that such development be transparent. The greatest danger to peace is not known strength, but hidden intentions. The chamber fell silent as the delegates considered the proposal. Finally, Omo of the Zentari stood. 3,000 years ago, when the Concordat was formed, many doubted that different species could truly live together in peace. Yet we did. Now we face a new challenge, learning to balance peace with security. If humanity could maintain both for 3 millennia, perhaps they have wisdom to share. He raised his ancient hands in the traditional Zentari gesture of agreement. The Zentari accept your proposal. One by one, other delegates rose to signal their acceptance. Even Drak-Tha, after a moment's hesitation, stood and gave the Kirvak sign of agreement. As the session concluded, Admiral Grant found himself approached by Captain Olivia Rodriguez. "Admiral," she said quietly, "when you first heard about the Kirvak attack, you smiled. Why?" Grant looked at her thoughtfully. "Not because I wanted war, Captain. I smiled because I knew what was coming next. Not just victory, but this moment. Right here. The chance to build something stronger than what we had before." He gazed around the chamber where humans and aliens now mingled freely, discussing the future. "The Kirvak thought they were ending peace," Grant said. "Instead, they helped us forge a more honest one. Sometimes, Captain, a challenge to peace becomes the very thing that makes it stronger." Rodriguez nodded slowly, beginning to understand. "And that's why humans could laugh in the face of their assault." "Exactly," Grant said with a smile. "Not because we were eager for battle, but because we knew something they didn't. Peace maintained through strength and wisdom is not fragile. It's the most powerful force in the universe."